I think my favorite series that I have here on my channel is all about drugstore makeup products that are truly better than high end. And that's what I'm sharing with you in today's video. There have been a lot of new drugstore launches. Just a few weeks ago, I reviewed a couple of different options, or I think like 15 different options. So if you want even more reviews, I'll link that video below. But in today's video, I'm sharing the ones that made the top of the list, the ones that I truly think are just as good, if not better, than high-end makeup sold at Sephora. I don't say that lightly. Not every single drugstore product I like ends up in these videos. It truly has to beat out higher end alternatives. And I have some really great options to share with you in today's video. I think everything in today's video is $10 and under, which is actually kind of rare to see at the drugstore these days. So definitely some of the most affordable options, but they really do perform like products that are 2, 3, 4 times the price. Let's start with the newest launch from NYX. So this is their Fat Cheeks Dewy Liquid Blush. It retails for $10. It comes in 8 different shades. I picked up one because I wanted to make sure I liked the formula before trying additional shades. They have some really beautiful colors, a lot of pink tones, some purples, mostly like brighter, more fun options to choose from. I went with the shade Fig Fizz. I am wearing this on my cheeks today, but I have another blush on top. So I'll actually apply this so you can see what it looks like because I want to show you a couple of different ways to use it. It is a very sheer formula initially, but you can gradually build it up. So it's kind of nice because you can wear it very light and sheer and natural or get more of an impact if you layer it up. I also like the fact that when you initially apply this product, like there's a little bit of a glowy dewy finish, but it almost leans more in the direction of like a satin blush. And then when you layer it up, you get again more of that dewy glow shining through. So it is kind of nice because I feel like it does look different depending on the way you wear it, apply it, or if you wear it under or over powder. I do think it performs best if you layer it directly on foundation rather than layering it over powder. You can do that, but again, because it is so kind of watery, if you're using a lot of powder, it can end up caking up just a little bit or erasing that powder underneath. And that's when you'll end up with a little bit of a patchy look. So I recommend just going in with this before powder, kind of avoiding that area if you want the glow to really shine through. It's a really beautiful product. If you like a super intense blush, I would say you might want to go with a different option like Rare Beauty or the e.l.f. Camo liquid blushes. But if you like the idea of something that can be sheared out and look just a little bit softer, a little bit more natural, and still give you that really beautiful, dewy, glowy finish, this is a really nice option. It does have a little bit of a fruity scent, but once it's on the cheeks, you don't notice it at all. And it's not super strong even as you're applying it. One potential con is the fact that because it is such a watery blush, you just have to be careful because the opening is a little bit larger to, fit the applicator in there nicely because it does come with a pretty large applicator. So when I was swatching it, I had it like turned to the side and the blush was pouring out. So just be careful if you have a tendency to kind of like wave your products around as you're applying them. This is super thin, so you might make a little bit of a mess, but I'm enjoying it. I think it looks really beautiful, very natural, very fresh on the skin, and it does last really well throughout the day with minimal fading. Another great option that just launched fairly recently is this formula from Revolution Beauty. It's their Super Dewy Blush Burst. I did talk about this in one previous video, and I'm still loving this formula so much. They're actually very similar in the way they look on the skin, the way they apply. This is a slightly creamier formula, but I would still kind of describe it as like a serum-like texture. So this product retails for $9. It comes in 8 different shades. This formula has peptides, hyaluronic acid to give you that really smooth, kind of plumped up effect. But again, as you apply this product, you get gorgeous dewy color. I do think this formula is slightly more pigmented than the NYX formula. It can still be sheared out and worn a little bit more subtly if you do like more of a natural look, but it is easier to build to get more of an intense look. So if this is a little bit too sheer for you, if it sounds a little bit too natural, you might actually prefer this formula, and you basically get the exact same effect, but just more color overall. And I do think when it comes down to it, the Revolution Beauty formula lasts on the cheeks a little bit longer, and this does layer over powder a little bit better too. 2 things about this blush that I consider to be cons. The applicator is very, very tiny. For me, it's not that big of a deal because I usually end up applying it to the back of my hand, and then I'll take a brush and apply it to the cheeks. So to layer it on the back of my hand, it's fine. You just have to end up like dipping back in multiple times. If I could choose, I would end up picking a larger applicator like the one that comes in the NYX blush, or again, like the Rare Beauty blush. That one's probably a little bit smaller than this, but I like the idea of a slightly larger applicator if I am going to apply it directly to my cheeks. The other thing that I wanted to mention is these actually come with 0.14 fluid ounces. They look pretty tiny, and they are on the smaller side. When I was comparing them to other drugstore liquid blush, or drugstore liquid blushes, I found that they really range in terms of how much product they include. So the e.l.f. Camo liquid blushes, and then I think there's a formula from Maybelline, those come with the exact same amount of product, but there are other brands that come with like twice the amount of product, including NYX. NYX actually comes with 0.27, and again, it's only $1 more. So $1 more for almost double the amount of product. That being said, I do end up using less of the Revolution Beauty formula when I'm applying it to the cheeks because this is such a watery formula. So I feel like I have to end up layering this up to get the color payoff I want. So I do think, well, I can't say for sure. I was going to say I'd probably end up running through them not at the exact same time, but I do feel like I end up using probably twice the amount of product in here compared to this. So just a couple of things I wanted to point out so you can make the best decision for you if you are interested in buying either one of them. So let me know what you think. If you've tried these formulas, I would love to hear which one you prefer. Again, when it comes down to it, personally, I do like the Revolution Beauty formula a little bit better, but if you like more of a natural look, go with this one. Revolution Beauty also launched this blush, and it is so good. This is their Bouncy Blur blush. It retails for $10. So there are 4 shades on Ulta's website, but if you order directly from the Revolution Beauty website, there are 6 shades. I only picked up one. I picked up the shade Blurry Rose because I wanted to try it out again before committing to multiple shades, but I'm definitely going to go back and pick up another shade or two because this is basically identical to the new Rare Beauty Bouncy blushes. It has that really nice kind of plush texture to it, so when you touch it, it feels like a squishy blush, but I think I actually like this a little bit better. It feels a little bit softer when you touch it, and they say that you can actually use your fingers to apply it, and you can. You can get a really soft, kind of natural diffused look. This is such a pretty color, or you can easily layer it up. I actually like using kind of like a dense brush with this type of formula to get more color payoff, but it looks so good on the skin every single time. Like you can even see on my hand, it just looks incredibly smooth. It gives you like a beautiful diffused finish. I don't have a dupes video planned for like the very near future, just because I always keep a running list of potential dupes that I'm planning on featuring, alternatives, but if I was going to film one of those videos, this would be at the top of my list because I actually think this is like the closest formula match I've tried to that Rare Beauty formula. I know I was talking about those LA Girl duos quite a bit over the last few weeks, but I think this one comes even closer, and they do have 6 different options. So if there's a shade in the Revolution Beauty formula that you think you would like, or that comes close to the Rare Beauty formula, I personally think it would be worth going with this because it is less expensive. And because this has just like a slightly kind of like more cushiony texture, I feel like it's easier to apply overall. Really, really beautiful. Okay, this is not as new of a launch as some of the other products I'm sharing in today's video, but it did come out over like the last few months, and I feel like it's just such an underrated launch. There was a launch from NYX that kind of overshadowed this one because they do have like very similar claims, but I feel like the NYX launch came in trendier packaging. It was maybe a little bit more eye-catching, but I think this formula from Covergirl is actually better. So this is the new Covergirl Clean Fresh Yummy Blur Lipstick. So I originally bought one from Ulta for I think $11.99, but they're actually at Walmart for I believe $8.97. So significantly less expensive. If you are shopping for them, I would recommend shopping at Walmart for the best deal. And they have beautiful shades to choose from. So originally I picked up the shade Into the Blur, which I love, but I ended up grabbing 2 more because I loved this one so much and I was wearing it so often. Today I kind of have a mix of these 2 on. So I mainly have the shade, what is this one called? Blur the Lines, which is kind of like a peachy nude. Then I added a tiny bit of Into the Blur on top, but I am wearing a gloss over top. This is the Fenty Gloss Bomb Heat in the shade Fenty Glow. So that's what you're seeing on my lips. But honestly, I do wear this lipstick on its own quite a bit. And I feel like this is the formula that kind of had me getting back into matte lipstick formulas. So again, very similar to that NYX Smushy Matte Lip Balm, but these are much more flattering on the lips. It gives you that soft, diffused, blurred finish. It looks so good. It feels so good. It's such an incredibly lightweight formula that it doesn't really feel like you're wearing anything on the lips, but again, you get that gorgeous matte finish. I actually like taking the lipstick and applying a small amount and then blending it in with my finger, and you kind of get that blotted lip effect, which in the past I was never a big fan of that, but I do find that it's really pretty, very, very soft. But you can easily layer these up. It doesn't really even take a lot of work because they are pretty pigmented overall. So if you do kind of like that light layer and then add like a second layer on top, I feel like they stay in place really well. They don't actually claim to have like a staining effect, but I do feel like when I wear them, they almost do leave behind a little bit of a stain. That or they just last really long on the lips. They smell really good. They do differ. So some of them smell like pomegranate, some have a pear scent. So overall, they kind of have like this sweet, fruity scent. It's nothing too intense, or it doesn't really smell like super artificial, but it is noticeable as it's on the lips. If you are looking for just like a beautiful, soft matte lipstick, highly recommend these. If you have very, very dry lips, I do feel like they can enhance the look of dryness on the lips. They don't feel dry at all when you're wearing them, but I would recommend maybe exfoliating or using a lip balm to prep the lips before you go in and apply this when you're done with your makeup. But again, I ended up buying 2 more because I loved them that much. And I feel like for me, that's saying something because I don't typically buy like tons of lipstick these days, but I ended up wearing the pink one so often I grabbed the other 2. The pink one is still my favorite though. If you do not like matte lipsticks, I totally understand. I have a really great hydrating glossy formula that I think you'll love. And again, it's from Revolution Beauty. This video is not sponsored by Revolution Beauty, although I love so many of their products. They can be a little bit hit and miss. And I feel like a lot of people tend to be just cautious when trying their products these days because in the past, I feel like I and a lot of people would experience more fails than favorites from the brand. And I actually just did a worst of video, like a fails video, probably a week ago, and 2 products from Revolution Beauty were in that video. But honestly, over the last year, I feel like overall the quality has gone up so much. And I swear I tried a product from a high-end brand that was so similar to this, but not as good. And I can't think of who it was, but this is their new Pout lip gloss stick. So it retails for $9. If you like a glossy lipstick, a very moisturizing formula, something really pretty and super comfortable, this is going to be the formula for you. Normally, I don't like a super highly pigmented glossy lip product because I feel like it can be so messy. It just gets on my teeth. It kind of moves throughout the day and it goes out of my lip line. And I feel like I always constantly have to be looking at myself in the mirror to make sure it's still in place. That hasn't really been the case with this formula. When I wear the red one, I do feel like that is the case a little bit more just because it is so bright. But when I wear one of these, like I have a really pretty pink, more of a nude, they're so comfortable and so flattering on the lips and they stay in place pretty well for more of a glossy hydrating formula. It's not so thin and so glossy that it feels like it moves the second you put it on your lips. I feel like it stays in place where you apply it really, really well. And because it is a slightly thicker formula, like it does lean in the direction of a true lipstick, just with a glossy finish, it's not going to end up everywhere as easily as like a very highly pigmented true lip gloss formula. What am I trying to say? It's not too melty. Like they really did nail the texture of this lip product so, so well. Was it Fenty who had a formula like this? I think it was. I don't know. I feel like maybe there are a couple of brands who have done formulas like this, but this is a really beautiful formula. It truly does feel like a high-end formula. Even the packaging just feels really elevated. I like how it's just very simple. It's the exact color that you're getting in the lipstick, which is so nice because a lot of brands don't do that. Like they don't do the outer packaging or the outer packaging doesn't indicate what the actual lipstick color is. It might be all black and then there just might be a name or a sticker on the bottom. This just makes it so much easier as you're like digging through your products looking for the thing that you want because you can easily see what it is. So love the packaging, love the formula, and again, under $10. I know I've talked about this product at least once or twice, but I have to talk about it again because I'm really just truly blown away by the quality. I'm wearing this on my eyes today. It's the new Essence Lash Without Limits Tubing Mascara. So the original Lash Without Limits is one of my favorites. It's probably one of my top 3 mascaras of all time. So when I tried this, I kind of thought it was going to be like the exact same formula, just a tubing version. It's really not. I feel like it is quite a bit different, but I love this one just for what it is. I think this performs best, like a lot of mascaras, after it has the chance to dry out for a few weeks. So I've had mine for probably over a month at this point, and it's performing perfectly. So if you bought this and it didn't really work for you initially, try it again now, because I do think once it dries out, it's just a little bit easier to use. It's a very wet formula, and sometimes like super wet mascaras, especially very wet tubing mascaras, can be very hard to layer up and build up. But even from like the initial application, this one wasn't hard to work with. I just like it a little bit better after a few weeks. It layers so nicely. I feel like my lashes look really good today. I don't really have a lot of eyeliner on. I have a little bit on the waterline, and then what I've been doing is taking like a pencil liner and kind of smudging it like directly into the lash line rather than full on lining my upper lash line. So I do feel like this makes the base of my lashes look thick, and that does help a little bit. But what I love is that it gives like a fluttery kind of separated lengthening effect. It really doesn't weigh my lashes down at all, and that is really nice for such a wet formula, because a lot of wet formulas do end up weighing your lashes down quite a bit, whereas I feel like this one's actually great at lifting them, and then again, giving you like that fluttery separated effect. So the key to applying this mascara is like applying a light layer, letting it dry for just like a couple of minutes. So I'll do like one eye, then the other eye. Then I'll go back and kind of thicken it up and add more volume. Again, do the same thing on the other eye. And then to get like that added length, I'll just like press this on the outer tips of my lashes for a second and then like slowly wiggle it up. I actually saw a video, I think it was the Lipstick Lesbians on Instagram or TikTok if you follow them. They actually said like sometimes with tubing mascaras, because of the technology, it needs a second to kind of wrap around the lashes. And I was like, that makes sense. Let me give it a shot. So a few months ago, I tried that out, and I do feel like that makes a difference, because if you're using a regular mascara and you're kind of like pressing it on the lashes and then pulling up, it doesn't really always make a difference. But for some reason, if I just like set this on the ends of my lashes and then kind of wiggle it up, it really does make a difference. So not my tip, it's definitely their tip. They have a lot of great tips, but that is one that I've implemented and it works so well. This stays in place really well, no flaking, no smudging, removes like a tubing mascara at the end of the day. I love tubing mascaras. I'm officially a fan. For such a long time, I was like, I don't like them. They just don't work well for me. And then I was using the e.l.f. Lash Extender, which is great, but this one is much more natural than the Essence one. And I was also using the Milani one, but this one is so wet that I feel like it takes like 2 full months for this one to dry out to be more usable overall. And I'll tend to use this like on top of another mascara I like, just to add some extra added length. But my favorite out of these three is easily the Essence one. Kind of a new launch, kind of an old launch, but e.l.f. did end up bringing back the Jelly Pop collection for the summer. I think this is like what, the 3rd or 4th summer where they've brought it back, and just keep it around. I know what they're doing. I know they're trying to create like that FOMO by having it and then taking it away and then having it again, but a lot of people do love the Jelly Pop Dew Primer, myself included. I still have mine from last year, so I did not need to repurchase it. If you've never tried it, it really is such a good primer. It's a little bit different than the Power Grip Primer, which I do love the Power Grip Primer. So when this one is not around, I don't feel like I'm really missing out that much. But if I had to choose, I like this one better because it's slightly thinner than the Power Grip and it's a little bit more hydrating. I feel like my skin looks extra glowy, extra smooth when I use this, but it basically does the same thing. So it's a sticky, gripping primer that hydrates the skin, locks your makeup into place really well. I have it on today, and honestly, as I was like testing out my camera settings before sitting down to film, I really did feel like my skin looked extra good compared to how it looked over like the last 2 videos I filmed. It's hard to say if it's only due to this product. I feel like it's a combo of the primer I used and the powder, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But I do feel like even though this is so glowy, so dewy on the skin, if you set your makeup into place, you don't really see that glowy, dewy effect, but the smoothing property still comes through and your makeup does not move. So you can definitely wear this in a way that the glowy factor shines through, just don't use as much powder. And obviously you're going to get that really beautiful effect, but you can also powder your face and it doesn't look sticky or too dewy if that's what you're going for. It doesn't feel sticky or look too dewy is what I meant. It does feel sticky when you initially apply it, and it does have a watermelon scent, which I do like, but if you're sensitive to fragrance, skip over the line as a whole. They also did Well, they brought back the lip oil, and then they also did the Makeup Melting Cleansing Balm in the watermelon scent. But if you've never tried the Jelly Pop Primer, it really is so good. Like, I feel like people snatch this up so quickly every single summer. So I think it's partly due to like the way they market it. They just have it back for a limited time, but also because it is such a favorite for so many people, it really is worth it in my opinion. The powder I'm wearing is not a new launch, but I wanted to talk about this because I tried it out in a recent video, and then I don't think I ever did a follow-up review. I actually bought this because you guys recommended it to me. So I actually have powder in the cap, so I can't really hold it up for you, but it's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Setting Powder. So it comes in a container like this. It's a little bit messy, so I just kind of leave it open. Well, I leave it open until I use like what's in the cap, and then I'll close it, but I probably should have what I should probably do is like knock all of the powder back in and then put like tape over half of the holes so not as much pours out. All of that aside, this is such a gorgeous powder. I asked you in a video, like, what is your favorite drugstore loose setting powder? By far the most recommended powder was the Wet n Wild one. It's so good. It is just as good as my high-end powders. And that is amazing because I feel like most of my go-to loose setting powders are from Sephora. I love the Huda Beauty one. I love the One Size one. I really like About Face. That one's at Ulta, but it is a higher end powder. This reminds me a lot of the Huda Beauty one, but it's like softer. There's more of a smoothing effect to it, and it doesn't feel as matte on the skin. Like, it definitely mattifies the face. It's summer, it's hot, my skin looks matte, but it's not like a flat, unflattering matte. And I don't know, I haven't been using the Huda Beauty one as much this summer because I feel like sometimes it can be a little bit too much, and I don't necessarily want like an overly mattified look, if that makes sense. This looks beautiful on the skin. A little bit goes an extremely long way. I'll just take one of these like little triangle puffs and like dip it in and then like really press the powder in and tap my face, and it just sets it so perfectly. My makeup lasts really well throughout the day. I feel like my skin doesn't get as oily. It just kind of blurs and smooths the texture. And again, when I sat down to test my camera settings, I was like, oh, my skin looks pretty good today. And I really do think it's due to the Jelly Pop Primer and this powder, because underneath I just have the Catrice foundation I wear all the time. And yeah, that makes my skin look good, but if my skin isn't great that day, it doesn't really, you know, completely, it doesn't give me like a false, I guess what I'm saying is I've worn that foundation for years and years and years. I've seen it with like so many primers, so many powders, and it can look all different, but it looks extra good today, at least in my opinion, or it did when I sat down to film. And I really do think it's a combo of like the Jelly Pop Primer and that powder. So just wanted to mention that because again, under $10, such a great formula. And I can't believe that I hadn't tried it sooner. I used to use Wet n Wild so much back in the day. And then there was a period of time where they were not considered cruelty-free. So I got away from using the brand. And then a few years ago, they were considered cruelty-free again. And I honestly never really got back into them until I tried that powder. And now I feel like I need to go back and try more of their products. Okay, last thing that I wanted to talk about. This is not a brand new launch, but this is newer to me. I picked up some products from the brand Beauty Creations. They have a ton of just affordable options on their website. In fact, I was so overwhelmed because they have a lot of products in every single category. So when I placed my order, I think I just bought like a blush, a bronzer, a powder, some eyeshadow. I didn't buy like tons and tons, but I did buy like a couple of things to try out. My number one standout product that I've tried is this one. This is their Solo Shadow. So they actually have quite a few different shades, or they're called the Riding Solo Single Shadows. They have 18 different shades and they're $5. If a brand can launch a $5 eyeshadow that performs like this, high-end brands have no excuse for launching subpar formulas. This is the most gorgeous metallic shadow. So I have this on my eyes today. I have the Makeup by Mario Liquid Cream Shadow in the shade Chestnut. That's like whatever matte shadow you're seeing on my eyes. And then I have the Beauty Creation shadow in the shade Howdy all over the lid. And I just applied it with my finger. It is so smooth, so gorgeous, just the most beautiful, rich, intense metallic. I think I actually like this formula better than the ColourPop Super Shock formula. Never thought I would say that. I have been a ColourPop Super Shock formula fan for, how long have they been around? For at least 10 years. And those are great, don't get me wrong, but these, I think they're easier to apply. They're more intense, they're more vibrant on the eyes, and they feel like a creamy powder shadow. Like they don't have that cream to powder texture. They're like a true powder shadow, but they're so creamy. I got cut off while I was raving about these. I was saying that they're just so creamy, so rich, so intense. And if you like a really intense, metallic, rich shadow, this is a great option to try. They do have some bundles. I actually had like these three shadows in my cart, and then I was scrolling through their website and they had a bundle where you could get all three of them for, I think, $13. I don't know if they have any other bundles. I just remember seeing that and thinking like, what are the chances? Because these are the three shadows I had in my cart. And I love them. They're all really, really beautiful. I've worn all three of them multiple times. Just so pretty on the eyes, so easy to work with. I honestly don't have a con. Like I usually try to come up with at least one con, if not multiple, just to be able to share like a very balanced review. I guess I would say when you're applying them, you can get a little bit of fallout, but once they're on the eyes, they stay in place well throughout the day. I also like the fact that the lid just slides right off. It just makes it easy when you're using the shadow and then slides right on top. You can stack them. They're great and they're $5. So cannot say enough good things about these. So those are the things that I wanted to share in today's video. Just some really high quality, beautiful formulas. Again, for $10 and under, which is so nice to see these days because makeup is getting pretty expensive overall. So it's amazing when brands can launch such high quality formulas at affordable prices that are just a little bit more practical for most people. I mean, even if you can spend, $25 on a single shadow, you don't have to. You can get amazing quality for $5, and I love to see it. So thanks for watching today's video. If you like this topic, these kind of videos, I have a lot of them on my channel because I do love drugstore makeup, and there are so many amazing products out there. So I'll link a few on the screen for you and in the description box below, and I'll be back very soon with a new video. Bye.